Hey there, are you a local mom business owner? If so, we've got some exciting news to share with you all. The doors to our Working Moms of San Antonio business owners community are now open. Join us now in our supportive new community for local networking events, customizable social media templates, classes and workshops, business resources, and to be a part of our exclusive referral directory. We love to help our working mom business owners grow, so visit workingmomsofsanantonio.com/membership or just click the link in the show notes to join us. See you in the community.
We're Erica Radix and Marie Lifschultz, a San Antonio area realtor and lender, but most importantly, we're working moms.
The goal of this podcast is to provide support and a sense of community to San Antonio area working moms like us. So join us in trying to find a balance between career, family, and everything in between. Welcome to this week's episode of the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. We've got a guest on with us today, Cristal Rubio, and she is a bookkeeper and also a tattoo artist. So we're going to turn it over to her, and she's going to introduce herself and talk a little bit about what she does, and we'll kind of get going.
First of all, why do you change to freaking customer service voice?
I
What the hell? I know. I was like, no.
Yep. Yeah, that's my phone voice.
I know. I'm like, wait, I got to call her out on this shit.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because honestly, in 2024, I'm trying to do less phone voice, but it's so hard. After 10 years in this industry, it's hard to turn it off.
You sound like a game show host announcer,
I know,
right?
Like, yeah.
You know, sit up straight.
Seriously. And for me, I'm just like, all right, bitches, let's go. No, but I get it. Like, it does become hard because even like when at first, when we first started doing the podcast as well, my customer service voice also like, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But it's so hard not to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have been a bookkeeper for probably 3 years now, but I got my degree back in 2012 in business administration. And during that time, I had already gotten I'm a retired hairstylist too, but let's not talk about that. But when I got my degree, it was so that I could run my own business, so that I could run my salon. And, I figured, why not? I like going to school, but I also have ADHD. So then I end up doing all kinds of shit that I probably don't need because I overthink everything.
Yeah.
So I went to school for it. I only used it for my business. I used it when my husband opened up his business in California. And then I was like, okay, like that's the only reason I went to school for, just so it could work for me, which was, kind of dumb if you really think about it. But that was my mind was like, no, you're doing it. It's going to work for you. And that way you don't have to hire anyone. Well, then, go fast forward to 2020, pandemic, all this shit happening. I decided.
Oh, that old friend.
All that, yeah. Man. So I decided, I'm done doing hair. I had a studio here in San Antonio. I was over it. I think that like most people, everyone during the pandemic, you realize that whatever it is that you were doing, that wasn't it, you decide. I know for me, I decided like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And one of my friends there at the studio, she was like, I didn't know you did bookkeeping. And I was like, well, yeah, but I just don't, I haven't done it in a long time. I only do it for myself. So she hired me on. And then from there, she kept on wanting to pass on my information. I was like, I don't want to do this shit. Like, what if because in my head, I was like, what if I fuck something up? Like, I haven't done this in a while. So what if there's something that I don't do the right way? And it wasn't so much because like I thought that it had to be something more professional, or that I had, I was like, I don't have the look. My hair is always fun colors. I have all these tattoos. Who's going to take me seriously? But I had to realize that I kept on doing her books. I saw her growth, and I was like, I want to do this for other people. And I want to do it for other people in the beauty industry, because we're looked down upon, and they don't take us seriously. They think our job is not, you don't make that much money, or it's just like a hobby or whatever. So I wanted to show different, I wanted also for ourselves as hairstylists, sometimes we also don't see our worth. But I think in the industry as women, we really don't see our worth, period. So I wanted girls to start seeing themselves in a different light, and I wanted to help them grow. And my friend, she finally pushed me to keep on going. And then last year is when I took myself seriously and I started to grow. And then from there, it's now but this is what I do and I love it.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I freaking love it. I can't see myself doing anything else, except for my little side hustles that I call them side hustles, but they're also like full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like the tattooing. I also took classes for that, and I was doing it, which is, not legal, but I was doing it here at home, and it was only on Friends. It was only on Friends. So they were letting me practice, and I was like, all right, you let me practice, then you can't talk shit or you can't say I fucked up because you're letting me practice.
Yeah.
But I did pretty well, and now I work at Vanidosa Studio with Claudia, and I do Tattoo Fridays there, which is a
Yes.
lot of
You
fun.
did
Yeah,
mine.
yeah, yeah. So
Recently, Crystal did one for me and it was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. But oh my God. So one thing that Erica will not do is tell you that the tattoo is fucking crooked. Luckily, like
It's not. I mean, it's not
it's
now.
not now. No, it's not now. But so when we first, so I'm putting the stencil on, right, and then I'm looking at it, I'm like, this doesn't look right. But I'm like, I asked her if she liked it, and she was like, yeah. I'm like, can you stand up or I don't know if I told her to stand up or what we did, but I needed her to move her arm a different way. And I was like, that doesn't look centered. And then she's like, oh yeah. I'm like, you should have told me something. Like, what the hell? Like, this is gonna be on you for I don't
Yeah.
know how long.
It's like,
All
it's
your
fine.
it's only
Yeah.
permanent.
I'm like
So,
I'm like the queen of non-confrontation. It's a problem.
oh man.
She goes, you should have said something. I was like, I would
Yes.
have just let you do it.
No.
Hey, Crystal, it's kind of neat because you have the books, the analytical part of your brain, right? Working
Yeah.
for your
Yeah.
bookkeeping, making sure you're organized. And then you have that fun, your ADHD is kicking in, right? You have that
Yeah.
fun aspect and creative aspect of your personality that can come out and, shine with your tattooing. I think
Yes.
I'm jealous. I want that. I think it's incredible. I see your post with the tattoos and my younger sister. I'm like, we gotta go together. We gotta go get
Yeah.
her. She's all tattooed, and I have tattoos. You just can't see them
Yeah.
very often. But I'm dying to get over there to see you.
Man,
So
yeah. Make an
mhm.
appointment. I'll get you in. Yeah, I love it. Because I do love the creative, and it's so funny that when I was little, and I just talked about this in my podcast, I said when I was little, I would look forward to getting like the stationery sets or like the pens and all these like fun colors of paper and like
Mhm.
office supplies. To me, that was what made me, get excited as a kid.
Pins.
Yes, I have a collection of like I have two big old, I don't know what they're called, but where you put pens and then it spins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't
Well, no, I have a big ass
Big,
one
big, yeah.
that spins. Yeah. And it's full of pens, and I have another one full of Sharpie markers and all the different colors because I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with fucking pens.
yeah,
Um,
I am
yeah,
too. And
yeah.
honestly, homeschooling was like my dream come true. I know you
That,
homeschool too, because
yes!
then we could get all
Oh,
the supplies.
yes! That was like the first thing I did when I said I'm gonna homeschool. I was like, well, babe, now I need all this shit. Like, I
Yeah.
need
You need a whole room
bins.
of stuff.
Yes. And now my room is completely organized, and I have different colors and everything kind of goes. I have my bulletin board. Like, I don't fucking even look at that shit. The kids don't even look at that shit. But but it
It
looks
looks
pretty. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it looks nice, and it's like, I went and my big ass printer. Like, do I
Yes.
really need I do need a printer like that. Like, it's an office printer. That's something I wanted when I was growing up. Like, it's the dumb little shit that for other people as a kid, why would you even want that? And for me as a kid, I remember asking, I think one of my mom's friends, she was a secretary at a school, and she gifted me a typing book so that I could learn to type fast. Like, what fucking kid does that? Me. You know?
But I think
Yeah.
it's also our generation. Like, kids now they want the latest technology stuff. We were all excited. We got that big ass box of crayons with the
Yeah.
sharpener thingy. Have you
Yeah.
seen those memes? Like, that's what we like, and as adults, that's what we still like
Oh,
it. I
I
love
have a
it all.
collection. I have a collection of crayons that I have my box of crayons that they're just mine and they have to be Crayola. And then I have the different little, like they come with the like different designs or whatever on the boxes.
Yeah.
So I have every single one that has come out and
Oh
nobody
my
can
gosh.
use them. Yeah.
Oh, you can't use them. They're collectibles.
No, they're I mean, you can. I'm sure you can, but I don't. I'm like, they're mine. If you touch them, I will kill you. I mean, and
That's so funny.
and I have coloring books. I published a coloring book as
Yes.
well. Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So it's like I don't know. It's the little things that make me happy with the bookkeeping, but I still get to be creative. And I think
Yeah.
most of my brain is creativity. Even like my bookkeeping shit, everything's pink. Like I remember in school I used to get in trouble when in college when we were working on our spreadsheets, and
Hmm.
my spreadsheets were all pink with purple. And they would tell me you're not never gonna make it in the professional world because you want to make everything so colorful and so girly. And I was
Mm,
like, watch me make it work.
yes.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Well, that kind of goes back to what you said before. I had no idea that there was really some kind of a stigma with beauty industry folks and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
That's very
I was just
interesting
thinking
to
that
me.
same thing. I was thinking the
Yeah.
same thing. I've never thought that about,
Yeah.
the
People
beauty
just
industry.
don't
I always,
they don't take the business as serious
Mm.
businesses? Oh,
No.
wow.
So even when I went to beauty school, it took me a while. My mom, parents always know what you're going to do when you grow up. And no matter how much you say that's not what I want to do, they already know. My mom, since high school, she would always tell me, why don't you just go to beauty school? She saw me always messing with hair color.
Mhm.
I learned to do nails when I was 12 or 13. So I always did all the fun stuff, also the makeup. I loved it. But I was like, no, because I really thought that hairdressers didn't have an education and that the education that we got wasn't, I wanted people to know that I was smart. And I wanted mostly my family. I wanted my family to believe that I was
Mhm.
smart. And I felt that if I went to beauty school, they were going to think that I just took the easy way out. But when I went to beauty school and they handed me books, and those books, you had to learn science, you had to learn anatomy
Yeah.
Chemistry.
and that's when I was like, "Oh shit, like this isn't easy." Like it was I think it was really hard, especially the anatomy part of it. So then that's when I realized this is more, and we have to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
So that's when I started kind of, even now, that's why I advocate so much for girls to take themselves seriously when it comes to their beauty business, because you're more than just a beautician, you know,
Right.
you're more than what you think you are in the service industry. And I feel that once they have their books done, they'll realize how important, and how much money they can actually make doing what they love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's incredible. I think it's also the stimulation because it's a trade,
Yeah.
where everybody pushed you to go to school, get a degree, spend all
Yeah.
this money. And then I'm in the finance world, right? So
Yeah.
I look at people's tax returns, I look at people's finances, and we have people who got their master's, their doctorate, and they're 20 years after school
Yeah.
still in debt because they can't get it paid off because they went and got these degrees to be the smartest people.
Yeah.
But you're working 60 grand a year and can't pay off your debt. Like
Yeah,
you
that's so
literally,
crazy.
we have
Yes,
doctors who don't know how to handle their own books. It
yeah,
doesn't, it just, I think it's that stigma, like you said, that you had to do these things, and trade schools are really got kind of like, oh, then you're not as smart. No, they're the
yeah,
smartest people.
yes. In the last few years, my mentality has changed a lot as well, because I used to always think, when my kids were in public school, I was always pushing college and that they had to go to college once they finished high school. And so our oldest, who's 20 now, we said, as she was getting closer to going to college, we're like, if you don't want to go to college, you don't have to go to college. You could find something that you love. We've always known that she loves to cook, she loves to bake, and she's had a baking business since she was 14. So, and she got her food handler's card, and she went and did all the stuff that you needed to do and to figure it out at 14. I wasn't even there at that age. And so we told her, why don't you just go to culinary school? Because
Mhm.
we know that's what you love. No, so she went to UTSA. I think first semester she made it. Second semester, halfway through, she stopped going to school and she was living at the dorms. So I kind of, as a mom, that they're
Yeah.
not doing something right. So I was like, we went and picked her up. We're like, you're done. Like, because she wasn't going to classes. And we told her, why don't you go to school to something that you love? Why, and even then, she went for dental assisting, which and she likes it, and she's not working in the field, but we know what she loves, you know. She
Yeah.
loves to bake and she loves to cook. And so it's one of those, if you just go to the trade school, she had to learn on her own, and that's okay. And I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
But now it's like, why do we push college on all these kids when a lot of the times you see what their strengths are as
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
growing up. You know, my 15-year-old, her strengths are makeup. She loves makeup. She loves acting. So she wants to be an esthetician, you know, and she takes acting classes and she loves all this. So each one of my kids has had something different. I wouldn't have noticed that or known that had they still been in public school, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I don't push the college because I've done the trade school, I've done the college, you know, I've done just small classes, and now I know what it is that, you know, that what they're good at. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
my son did the welding. My husband welds, and my son's like, Mom, I don't know if school. I don't have the ability to homeschool. I don't know if I
Yeah.
could do it, but they're in private school, and he
Yeah.
actually went up to his campus and said, Hey, I'd like to start a welding club. Is that something that
That's
he goes, I
awesome.
like to work with my hands. So the dean, they like, hey, if you can put it together. So right now he's putting a proposal. I'm like, you need safety equipment, you need access to electricity, who's going to monitor there. He already has a sponsor. I'm like, there's welding companies that might, like give you
Yeah.
some old equipment that you could use. So he's
That's
putting a
awesome.
proposal together right now. And I told him, I'd love you to get some kind of business degree, because obviously
Yeah.
being self-employed is where I'm pushing him to be.
Yeah.
But you see all these other kids going, I'm going to go to, XYZ university. And I said,
Yeah.
if that's your calling, that's your calling. But I will be proud of you
Yeah.
to be a well. Those, they make good
Can
money. I can tell you that.
can I tell you something about the business degree though, at least on my view? So I went to get my business degree, and everything that I've learned as a bookkeeper now, or that I know, I've learned more hands-on than I ever
Yeah.
did in school.
Good to
And
know.
the stuff that you learn in school, it's so much bullshit, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
it's more to hold you down and to put you in a little box that when you ask the questions, they don't. And this was that. Oh, I did a heart.
Oh,
I
I've never seen that.
know. I was
It thinks you love business school.
like, yes. Oh, that was so crazy. I think it's the gestures for the MacBook. Yeah.
I
I
don't
was
think
like,
we've ever
what
had
was
that
that?
happen before.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what happened? But yeah, so what having to do all these bullshit classes, like for me, like I said, my brain cannot focus long enough to sit there through a freaking history class, through an
Yeah.
English class, through all these classes that I don't need and they're useless. And maybe they're not, people might think differently, but when I ask questions because of something that I didn't understand when it came to either accounting or it came to anything that had to do with marketing, it was like they couldn't break it down for me.
Mm.
And I'm a visual learner. You need to
Yeah.
you need to dumb it down as much as you can, and I'll figure it out. Like, I'll learn it.
Mhm.
But if I'm asking a question and you're like, well, this is how I explained it, then okay, then you're
Yeah.
not willing to teach me the way that I'm telling you that I can't learn.
Yeah.
So it was more of those like, okay, whatever. So everything that that I know now for bookkeeping, I've honestly learned as I've done it for myself.
Yeah.
Got it. No,
Yeah,
that's a great advice. That's good to know.
yeah, and especially if that's not something he wants to do, like he's gonna struggle with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've tried going back to school so I could get my CPA. My brain doesn't even finish the semester.
I mean, I worked in a CPA office for years, 5 years when I was
Yeah,
right out of school. I too was pushed to go to college. I ended up going and saying, well, if you're going to make me go, I'm going to get an art degree,
yeah,
much to my dad's dismay. Um, and I mean, I did. I paid a lot of money for it and
yeah,
I barely used it up until recently. I have a graphic design
Mhm.
degree.
yeah,
And just like you, I got my real estate license and stuff. I was doing
yeah,
my own marketing. I was doing my own stuff. And so it's like I had this 4-year university degree from UTSA that I was literally just using for my own self. which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so until I started doing it for others, we opened up a little graphic design company, my husband and I. And then so I started doing it that way. And then obviously with the working moms, I do all of that now. And that is really my jam. And so I
Yeah.
did get pushed into college, but I ended up turning it in a way where it was like, these are the things that I like. But my dad was like, what the hell are you doing? He was like, what is an art degree? What kind of a job can you get? Like all these things. And so I
Yeah.
didn't get a ton of support really while I was in school
Yeah.
because he just didn't understand it. My dad's in international business and he's very like, and
Oh,
so,
yeah.
yeah. And so, I mean, he's wonderful, but he's just very like, these are this is
Yeah.
like the logical stuff and this is how it's going to go. And so he didn't understand it at all. And so I agree with you, even
Yeah.
like, and homeschooling my kids too, like, I will not push college on them. I
No.
just won't, I
Yeah.
spent so much money and I literally could have taken specifically graphic design classes and had the same kind of takeaway. Now,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will say I had a wonderful experience in college. I
Yeah.
met people. There are other skills that you learn being in
Yes.
college. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that where it's like, hey, just where people I find really succeed is when they're doing something they really love. And the
Yes.
success comes like with not as much effort because you're
Yeah.
jazzed to do it. You want to wake up every day and you're like, hey man, I'm here and these are the things I'm going to do. And so you
Yes.
automatically become a little bit more successful because you want to get in there and you want to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't feel like work. If you
No.
Right.
enjoy what you do, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like work. Like I love I love numbers. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
love numbers. I love working numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does the networking part of my job is harder for me, like getting out and doing that part. But I love working numbers and making it's like a puzzle. I'm doing a
Yeah.
puzzle all day long.
Yeah.
So I agree. I agree. Find something that you love and
Yeah.
create a career out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
You
I
know.
think and I think that's what, if one good thing came out of pandemic, it was that a lot of people actually went for the things that they love to do.
Yeah.
And I know for me, like I said, I was like, okay, this is it. And I'm still using my creativity. I'm still me. And that's one thing that I always say when my clients that I do, like that I have now, they know that I cuss. They know that I have tattoos. They know that, like, but when it comes to your books, like, they're going to be, spotless. I'm going to take care of you. But if you're spending the money a way you shouldn't be spending it, I'm gonna talk shit to you. Like I'm not gonna, I don't sugarcoat shit. Like I'm just gonna. This is who I am. This is the kind of people I want to attract.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to, I don't know, work with me, or if
Yeah.
you don't want me to tell you how to run your business, then we're not a good fit because I'm just trying to help you out.
Right. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's true.
No, I like that. I like that you get to that you know who you are,
Yes.
and you're gonna attract the people that you're gonna work best with,
Yeah.
right? Like
It took a while.
your looks,
It does.
it does, but
Yeah.
it's also I'm hoping the world's changing a little bit in the fact that the color of the hair, the what's on your skin,
Yeah.
it's not that, it's the person, and
Yeah.
having that opportunity to get to know that person. So yeah, I think it's great. I love the fact that she does the whole creativity and then the bookkeeping.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what other? And like, if you see my room, like I have so much fucking crap shit. And because I always like hyperfixate on one thing and then I'm like, I'm bored. So then I move on to something else. But my one thing that like my my husband thought was gonna be a hyperfixation was a tattoo. He's like, oh, you're just getting another certificate. But are you actually gonna do something with it? I'm like, yeah, eventually.
yeah.
Yeah.
It only took me a couple of years, but I'm doing something with it now. So,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome. I'm so curious, like, because you see a lot of books and you deal with people, different kinds of businesses and that kind of thing. Do you feel like there are some common mistakes that people make? Like, I know I had asked, full disclosure, I just recently started doing like QuickBooks and bookkeeping just a couple of weeks ago. And I had to ask Crystal, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, how does this work? And so I just wonder if you see people, like, what are some common mistakes? It's not that complicated when you really get in there, I guess, but
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
it's just for someone like me who's not a numbers person, it was like almost like speaking a foreign language. Like I got in there
Yeah.
and it was like talking about different types of accounts and like blah blah. And I
Yes.
was like, this is why you need somebody to do this.
Exactly. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that someone will do is open a QuickBooks account and honestly not know how to run it. Because
Yeah.
even for me that I was taught How to do accounting. When I first started QuickBooks, it was very confusing to me, and I had to take a whole course just to understand it and to even be
Mhm.
able to offer it to clients. Because when I started doing books, I was doing paper and pencil.
Yeah.
That's how I kept up with books. It was just on paper because I was scared of QuickBooks and I was scared of learning it because I was like, if I mess something up, it's I don't know. But then I figured it out and I got certified through QuickBooks. So I
Yeah.
think one of the mistakes is that, like I said, people will go in it and then sometimes they categorize shit the wrong way and they don't ask anybody.
Mhm.
And
Also,
that's
don't
the
ask
big
the
mistake.
internet because it'll tell you all
No.
different kinds of stuff. I
Oh
learned
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah,
get with
yeah, that tells
Crystal
you all different stuff.
and I was
Yeah.
like, hey, it's like I need, to do a certain kind of thing. And I was like, it's going to make people on the internet are like saying I need to write a fake check and like do all this stuff like in this program. And
I
Crystal was
was
like,
like,
don't do any of that
no,
stuff.
no, no. I was like, no,
Like
there's no
Googling your
way.
symptoms online to find
I
like, yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, don't do that. No. So, and then another mistake that people do is they use their business account, like their personal account, and they just, they don't, and not even they mix it. They literally just use their business account for everything. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, you have to separate the two. They're two different things. Like, pay yourself. And I think because we see and we're small businesses, like we're like, okay, well, we don't need to we don't need to separate it. We could just use it and that's how we pay ourselves. No, make sure that you're paying yourself a certain amount from the profit that you're making. Um, and that's it. Like, I think those are like the main three. If you don't know QuickBooks, either take a small course and learn it, or just do paper and pencil, or also separate your accounts. That's
Yeah. I
yeah,
think the separating accounts is a good
yeah,
tip just because in what I do, I see it, right? So a
yeah,
lot of people who are self-employed have a unique way of qualifying for homes, for
yeah,
example. And when they mix and mingle their assets, business and personal, it makes it more difficult to
yeah,
do things when it can be a straight line. This is how much you're making. You're with the business,
yeah,
because obviously if people have multiple side hustles, you have
yeah.
money flow in different ways.
When I talk to my clients, I always tell them, you want to think about it this way. If, let's say, you want to buy a house next year,
Mhm.
they're not going to want to see, like, when they look at your business account, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck is this? Like, why do you have personal expenses on here?" And then you're not making yourself look profitable. Instead, what's happening, you're making yourself look like you have all these expenses through the business because, one, you don't have them categorized correctly, and
Mhm.
they're just seeing all this money coming out. So how much money is your business actually making? So you're not gonna know any of that if you don't separate them. So I always try to be very good with my clients about telling them that for the
Yeah,
house purposes. Yeah.
and do the hard work. Track if you don't lump everything together, like a lot of people tend to lump stuff in, like for if you have vehicle expense. Let's say you
Yeah.
travel to
Yeah.
different salons or whatever in your line of work, or the books that you do. Don't lump everything in car and truck expenses.
Yeah.
Write out your mileage because some of that when you're qualifying for different types of loans, when other
Yeah.
people are looking at your books, you can add back in these deductions. So obviously, most people's goal who's self-employed is to show the your net as small as possible because that's what you're gonna
Yeah.
pay taxes on, and you have legitimate deductions that you can do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're great, but when you qualify for a loan, there's deductions that we, as people who are giving you money,
Yeah.
add back in some of those deductions to give you a larger, hey, you actually made more profit, right?
Yeah.
You have more profit and we're going to show you having more income that your
Yeah.
business was profitable. So yeah, I think that's a great tip. A lot of
Mm.
people, and on my side, I see a lot of people mixing their funds. So I'm like, why is the business paying for cable? Or why is it like what? Like I
Yeah.
don't like, yeah, you're trying to
And I
figure out
see that
what
a
to
lot. Yeah, I
Mhm.
see that a lot as well. I've also seen a lot of CPAs fuck up books, and that
Yes. Oh my God, yes. I've had a horrible issue. The CPAs make mistakes and they don't do it right.
and
Yeah.
And ultimately you're
big
responsible for your own books.
I think
and
there's a
big
big
as mistake.
misconception with that where people are like, oh, I have a business of like this caliber. A CPA has to handle my stuff. And it's like, number one, that's
Mm,
not true. And number
no.
two, just like in any other industry, there's different levels of CPAs. Some CPAs are good at their jobs, some CPAs are bad at their jobs, just like
Mhm.
any
Yeah.
other job. You can get a good doctor or a bad doctor. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
just because someone's a CPA doesn't mean they're going to be doing you the best. You need to get
No.
reviews and different experiences
Yeah.
that other people have had. That drives me nuts when people say that. I saw it online the other day. Someone was like, I need a CPA, or I need someone to do my taxes. And so I recommended somebody, and they were like, is this person a CPA? It's like that they're a tax professional. They don't have to be a CPA.
Yeah.
And to be
Mhm.
honest, working in a CPA's office for all those years, the CPAs aren't the ones that are doing your taxes most of
No.
the time.
It's
It's the
somebody else.
accountants. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had one client that I took over and she had a CPA. When I tell you her books were a mess and she wasn't sure what the hell the CPA was doing,
Yeah.
man, it took me, and even now we were actually sitting down yesterday and I was trying to, get all her shit together for tax time. And then I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Just when I thought that I had already fixed all this shit that this dude did, like there's still so much more that's coming up.
Mm,
And it becomes frustrating because it's like you sit there and you charge all kinds of money for what you
But
do
yeah,
as a CPA, but you're not even doing your job right.
yeah.
And it sucks because it's not just one person that I've heard this happen to. It's been multiple people. And I don't know if it's from the same CPA or what, but find yourself a bookkeeper who really knows the kind of work that you do and that they're actually going to go hard for you as far as they're going to give you shit if you're spending the money you shouldn't be spending. They're going to be
Yeah.
strict with you. They're going to, they're going to hold you accountable for everything.
Yeah.
yeah.
If you have someone who's just like, okay, they're just inputting everything that you give them without questions, then you have the wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to say CPAs are not, you're at the end of the day, you, the business owner, are accountable for your monies, what you
Yeah.
pay and so forth. So just to quit, because it's very fresh in my mind, because we just finished this since October, been
Yeah.
arguing with the CPA about this person's, they're trying to buy their home.
Uh-huh.
When they do construction, they're ready, the home is done, they're ready for their permanent financing. I come into the picture, they send me their tax. Now I've analyzed tax returns for 20
Mhm.
years, right? So I'm looking at it and I'm like, they don't match. Your numbers do not match. And of course it was an older couple and she didn't know. She's like, this is what I have. She just gave me. So I called
Yeah.
the CPA up and I asked him, I'm like, hey, this number's not flowing from your 1120 to your personal account. Like I can't follow the numbers. And they were adamant, well, they forgot they had done an amendment. They never amended the personals. Then they still did it wrong. They
Oh
weren't
shit.
accounting for income. So this poor couple, overall, because of their mistake, having
Uh-huh.
to amend tax returns from 3 years ago, mind you, coming back, not only did they owe additional $15,000 in taxes all of a sudden, it delayed their process in their home buying
That
for
sucks.
20 grand. They had to pay addition in interest that they had to pay to the
I,
builder and extending their interest rate. Like there's money involved, and the CPA is not accountable for
yeah,
anything.
that sucks.
Oh,
Normally,
I was
when the CPAs, a lot of the times actually, when the CPA is the one that's in charge of books, and even me as a bookkeeper, if I'm in charge of books and I mess something up, I have insurance in case anything comes back to the client because it shouldn't be their fault if I'm the one that's handling all their shit. And I have insurance for that, and a CPA should too. So they can actually come after the CPA.
Well, that's something else. I didn't know that. I'll share that. I argued for a month. I'm like, they were insistent. I'm like, I realize I'm not a CPA,
Yeah.
but I do look at these on a daily basis, and I'm telling you, this doesn't match. They finally came back. It took them weeks to come back and actually, okay, we see where this is not matching. We have to refile and so forth. But they're adamant that I was wrong. I
Oh
just felt
man.
horrible for this couple. But at the end of the day, I sat down with the couple and I said, yes, you trusted a business to do it, but ultimately you're going to be the one responsible. So the taxes you owe are the taxes you would have owed back in 21, no matter
Yeah.
what.
No matter
You would
what.
have
Yeah.
owed it. It's just unfortunate now it's coming out of the blue when you've made this huge expense to buy a house.
Oh, that
So
sucks. Yeah.
yes, it was heartbreaking, but having someone, I think, like you kind of said, like you know the industry that
Yeah.
you're bookkeeping for and helping
Yeah.
them. Like you
Yeah.
know that industry. I think it's a CPA doesn't. CPAs
No.
are typically used for analysis on businesses, like they're
Yeah.
like large corporations type thing. I
Yeah.
think a CPA does come in handy, but at the end of the day, you want someone who understands what you do every
Yeah.
day
Yeah. Because
as
the
a
only
business owner.
difference,
So
I think the difference between one of the biggest difference, obviously, between a CPA and a bookkeeper is the CPA, yeah, they have a license and everything, but they know the law. Um, and they know more legal stuff, and they're allowed to do more shit that when it comes to legal than we do, But it doesn't take away from them. Sometimes I don't even know how to use QuickBooks, or sometimes I don't even know how to categorize shit, and it's all miscategorized, and it's like, and they hire bookkeepers who are freshly out of school,
mhm.
so when they're doing this stuff, it's like, are you making sure who is the person that's actually doing your books? Yeah, so that has I don't know. Do your research when you're going to look for a bookkeeper, you know, or look me up, BeautyPro Bookkeeping.
Definitely, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I think it's ideal to have someone who understands, truly
Yeah,
understands the business that you do.
yeah,
Whether they, not that they had to have done it before, but understands what type of expenses are
yeah,
normal in your industry. What
yes.
type of things are you gonna, that kind of stuff. So yeah,
So that's
so contact Crystal.
Yeah.
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 If you want to get a
Love
tattoo
it.
as well, Tattoo Fridays.
Yes. Okay, I have to ask a question.
Yeah,
What's the difference between, I saw you post something, a fine
fine
line,
line.
is that what it,
Yeah, fine line.
tattoo versus like what's the what's the
So
difference?
there is a big old controversy right now going on. Tattoo artists fucking hate all the fine line tattoo artists and all the permanent makeup artists because they are mad that we're not doing a fucking 2 year long apprenticeship of being somebody's bitch at the tattoo shop. And they had to do all this, and we took a course, and we're not supposedly, yeah, I get it. We're not as good at them because they have years of experience. Fine line is where you either use one needle when you're tattooing, is either a one needle or three needles, up to five needles on the tattoo gun,
Okay.
and the different sizes, those create a very fine line. Well, if you tattoo with one needle only, is very fine, and if it's not done right, it could blow the ink. So as you're putting it in, the ink could spread.
Yeah.
Well, tattoo artists are not, they're mad because they don't know how to tattoo with one needle. They're trained to tattoo with seven needles or more. And I probably will get a lot of shit from tattoo artists for this, but it's true. They're more mad because they can't tattoo with a fine line. If you look, I asked for this one. I asked for that to be a fine line tattoo right here, and I think it was done with like 9 needles, and it's
Yeah.
a round liner. So if you were to ask them, I've had some that the lines have blown out and it's not even one needle, so they don't know
Yeah.
their depth. But a fine line is just knowing how to tattoo small tattoos with very thin lines. And if you show yours, I don't know how good you can see yours on the camera,
So
but
mine's thick. I wanted it thinner. It's a
yeah, and
so
that's it. And look at Erica's now.
I don't know how to
Erica,
get it to go that way.
oh
so
yeah, it's
yeah,
more defined. It's more
yes,
clear.
yes,
So
and it
when
has to
my
do with needles. Yeah.
yeah, so my siblings and I, after my dad passed, we all like playing cards. So
Okay.
we all got, there's five of us. So each of us got a suit, and my
Yeah.
brother got he got the wild card. He got the Joker.
Okay.
Aw.
But I'm like, it's not for, I like it, but I, in my head that I had pictured,
More
the picture
dainty.
I gave, it was more dainty. Yes.
Yeah. So that's what.
So
Yeah. So that's what I specialize in the dainty tattoos. I've done a bigger piece before, but it
mhm.
was like when I was still practicing, and it's probably this big that I tattooed, and that one I did have to go with a little bit of a thicker needle, only because it was bigger and it wasn't going to look as great if I went with the fine
Yeah.
line. But I'm trying to build up to go to drawing bigger tattoos. and maybe even color. But my favorite are honestly the fine line, the dainty looking tattoos.
I
Yeah.
gotta come see it, Crystal. I got to.
Yes.
I need to get another one.
Yes. I'm down for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, now feels like a good time where maybe you can tell people how to get in touch with you for your services and that kind of thing so they can reach out to you for all your bookkeeping expertise and your tattoo expertise.
Yeah. So for my bookkeeping, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn under bookkeeping, BeautyPro Bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, BeautyPro Bookkeeping. My website is beautyprobookkeeping.com/quote to fill out a form if you want more information and to get, a quote. For my tattooing is Artsy Crystal on Instagram and Facebook as well. And there you could keep up with me. I do have a podcast. You could keep up
Yes.
on both of those. Yeah, so it's also about beauty. It's beauty bound. So I speak a lot about bookkeeping on there as well and the beauty industry. So yeah, so that's all everywhere you can find me.
That's awesome. And just to
Spotify.
be clear, you specialize in beauty bookkeeping, but you are taking on other
Yes.
clients as well?
Yes, so I specialize in the beauty industry, but I also take on small businesses. Yes, my specialty, like I said, I do focus on that because that's I worked in the field
Sure.
and I want to help the beauty industry, but I also obviously know the small business aspect of it, and I know
Yeah.
I can help small businesses. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Well,
You've been so
thank
much
you.
fun.
Yes, this was
Thank
fun.
you.
I appreciate always your blunt honesty.
Me too.
We need more of that in the world, I think, sometimes.
Oh, well, thank you
So
for having me.
yeah, thank you for being on. And then I will also thank our listeners for tuning in to this week's episode. And we will just catch you guys next week.
See you
Thank
guys next
you.
week.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at our respective Instagram accounts or join our Working Moms of San Antonio Facebook group. Those links can be found in our episode description. If you have an episode topic suggestion or question, please email us at office@radisagent.com. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. See you next week.